Welcome to episode 50 of PuckPod by B Sports. I'm Brian. I'm here with Christian and David. Dave, we know you want to talk about your week. Let's get into it. Well, I want to hear about your week too.
You
So
want to hear
Yeah,
about
I
my
was gonna
week?
say it was more of that. I think it's just we want to hear about Dave's week, to be honest. Mine and Brian's life just doesn't count this week.
so boring.
We didn't do anything. It's just all Dave. It's your floor, buddy.
You guys did bring you guys said where I was going last week, right? Like,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if, maybe we even said it like on the last.
I
think we might have
think
said
we
it as
did.
well. Yeah. So for if this is your first episode, if you're just tuning in, I was in Las Vegas last week. The best way, if you've never been to Las Vegas, it is exactly what you think it would be like. I stepped off the plane and I was like, this place is Disneyland for degeneracy. That is the best way to describe that place. All of the casinos are just like especially the ones that are owned by one company. Like I know MGM, they own 6 and they're all in a row, like in a line, and they're all connected. So you don't even have to walk outside. So I get why there's an appeal, because it's just like there's just so many things to do in that place. But I think we only went for like 4 days. That was enough out for one time, but it still feels like I didn't do, like I've been hearing like, oh, did you do this? Did you do? I was like, no. Like there's just, it's one of those places where there's 150 million things to do, and you only have you really only could have 3 to 4 days to do it. So you're not gonna obviously get to everything, but it definitely leaves room for probably going back. I don't know if you guys want to hear any, if you guys had any questions about it, because you guys are like, you want to give me time to talk about the trip. Dude, literally apart from, it's, imagine just walking into different casinos and that type of stuff for the whole trip. That's basically what it is. It's nothing different.
I got 2 questions, Brian. I don't know if
go.
you got questions either, but we're gonna leave the hockey question for after. The Sphere.
Yes.
Tell us about the Sphere, man.
Dude, the Sphere is ridiculous. So the people I went with, a couple of them went to watch U2 in concert there at the Sphere. So they actually
crap.
I've seen videos inside the Sphere that my friends took. Fantastic, legitimately insane.
Yeah.
But I passed by the outside by just by chance. We had an Uber that was we were talking about it, and the Uber was like, do you guys just want me to take a detour and just pass in front of the Sphere for you guys? We're like, yeah, if you could, that'd be fantastic. And she did. She was very nice, that lady. There was a lot of traffic around the Sphere, so we were parked right beside the Sphere for, I would say 10 minutes flat. It was so just surreal seeing everything go. I can't even that's one of those things where you have to see it with your own eyes to fully appreciate how what a technical marvel that is. And shout out to Canada, because I believe a company based out of Montreal were the ones that designed the LEDs. They said there's over 2 million LEDs that surround the Sphere. So shout out to, I forget what the team is called, but we could definitely look it up after. Shout out to them. I know they're based out of Montreal, so go Canada.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Brian,
Dave,
you got a question, buddy?
best weekend trip of your life or best week trip of your life? Yes or no? You've been on a couple of these, so
I think so far, yeah, that's probably the highlight of my. I would definitely like to do a few more of those weekend.
a few more.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't yeah, I would definitely like to do a few more. I don't mind traveling. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to tell you where. I'll tell you one thing though. If I'm gonna be going on a vacation of any sort, I think I've told Brian, I've probably said this to Christian, and it's obvious. My next destination has to be to England. I have to visit England. I gotta go to London, to Manchester, all those places. That would be my ideal holiday, and that would have to probably be for a couple of weeks, I think, though. So
Okay.
hit all of the different football stadiums.
Yeah.
Follow-up question on the Sphere, because I just thought
Go.
about this right now.
Do it.
Do any of us know what the hell the thing is actually called, or is it literally just called the Sphere? Like, does it have some corporate name in front of it? Like, is it the, I don't know, the MGM Sphere? Like, I don't think anyone knows, but it's good that nobody knows, right? Because it used to be like the Sky Dome and whatever, right? Like,
there is a company. There is a company that I believe there's a company that has like a name attached to it.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, on any sign, because they have to have like the signs pointing to like you want to go to the Sphere. It's not called like the MGMs. It's called the Sphere.
Cool.
Like or
That's
it just says. I swear there's signs that just say Sphere, and it's like right. It's not even the.
I love how it's like there's just a random
Right
ball that way. If you want to see it, it's over there. Yeah.
Because dude, the whole city is just like that. That's like another just piece of the puzzle in there. If you were to put the Sphere in like downtown Toronto, it'd be like, wow, like look at this like bright light, 1.5 million LED lights. If you put that downtown in Vegas, literally everything there is covered in LEDs. So it's like, oh wow, I mean, it fits right in. I'll tell you that. But yeah, crazy city, man.
Last question. Hockey related. The Vegas Chicago story. I know you told us about it. I don't know what you want to say here, but just even stuff like the environment, the atmosphere, even just outside the arena.
Okay, so I was hoping to go watch a Knights. It was Knights and Blackhawks. Something happened with the tickets, and I wasn't able to purchase them. So we just had to like chalk it up as, we couldn't go. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see it, and we missed out on a good game because we ended up watching it at the casino next door. But there was a lot of Chicago fans there. Obviously, like Vegas is a tourist city.
It's a hub.
Yeah. By far and away. The Canadians came in a couple days later after that, and everywhere was just packed with, like, I could just hear French Canadian everywhere we went. I had the senses going on. Yeah. It's a tourist city, but the atmosphere around the Knights, like at all the casino, there's one casino right beside T-Mobile Arena. It's the Park MGM. And game days, I would say if there's 100 dealers in there or 100 tables in there, I would say 75 of them are repping the Vegas Golden Knights of some sort. Now, is it like comped? Or I asked a couple of the dealers if they bought it, or if like maybe the hotel or the casino bought it for them. They were like, no, like, I bought this. Like, one guy was like, I had it like inaugural game, like this is what I bought. I was like, that's cool. So I would say like 75 out of 100 dealers at this casino were repping it. The city reps it, like almost every other street corner. There's always a little like thing saying like home of the Knights, stuff like that, dude. They market their team very well, and coming from a Leaf fan, I absolutely love to see that, and it gives me a greater respect for a team like Vegas. And I would imagine if Vegas is doing something like that, if you head over to Seattle as well, they're probably doing something along the same lines too.
No, definitely. It's awesome how they've like established themselves as a hockey city, and it also helps that they won pretty recently. So
yeah, definitely does.
Yeah,
definitely does.
Very, very recently, the most recent possible.
Okay, let's jump to something a little bit more serious, David. But I'm glad you had a great time. Adam Johnson. On behalf of BD Sports, we just wanted to say, rest in peace, and we wish his family the best. What occurred, everybody here probably already heard about, but he was fatally injured in the game against the Sheffield Steelers, in which his neck was cut by the skate of another player during an on-ice collision. We've all seen the clips. We've all seen everything else that's unfolded. Let's just talk about what could happen next in regards to player safety and stuff like that. Personally, I feel like it's going to be the same thing with the visors. Neck guards are going to have to be grandfathered in slowly, and I think that's the right decision. I thought about the situation that occurred, and I watched the Caps game last night, and there was a it was Wilson hit somebody, and when Wilson hit somebody on the Blue Jackets, their skates flew up. It happens more often than we think, and these are literally knives on people's feet. It's pretty serious, and I don't know why that it took this long for us to come to the conclusion, or why it took to death to lead us to, take safety precautions more seriously.
Well, so Bri, on that note, if you look at the history of hockey, if you look at like I mean, and you can say this for every sport as well, but you look at the evolution of like hockey equipment from when the NHL started in like the early 1900s to where it is right now. Like, goalies weren't wearing masks. They were literally just getting on the ice with a couple of pillow cushions and putting their face in front of the shots. And it wasn't until like the 60s where it was like regulated. Like the moon landing had just happened and these guys were still not wearing masks and stuff. It was kind of like that was something that was grandfathered in. And then wearing helmets everywhere, right? That wasn't even mandatory until like the 80s, right? So something like this, like you said, Bri, obviously is going to have to be grandfathered in. It's not like everybody's just going to tomorrow, all whatever, like 300 NHL players are going to come into agreement and be like, listen, I'm going to wear the neck guard technology right now because I feel unsafe. There are probably some people who see the incident and still probably don't take it as seriously. But eventually what's going to end up happening is if you have more and more guys starting to wear it and that type of stuff, it's obviously going to like reduce that number of people that are not wearing it to people that are wearing it. So I think within the next 5 years, we're probably going to see, if not everybody, I would say rough estimate, maybe like 85% to 90% of the league wearing neck guard technology and stuff like that.
It's going to be like the visors. Slowly, everybody's going to have it, and it's probably better that way. Let's talk about mandates. The Penguins organization, because of the fact that Adam Johnson was a former member of the organization, has mandated neck guards. And it also seems like the English league, I don't know what it's called, but wherever.
It's the EIHL.
Yes, the EIHL.
Yeah.
Adam Johnson is playing 2024. All players will be wearing neck guards going forward.
That's especially awesome to see. The Penguins thing sounds like a very like Dubas decision. And kudos to Dubas if it was his idea to do that. It's a little tougher with the NHL mandate wise because it's something that falls under like the CBA. That's why we had stuff like the grandfathering system. So that would be the way to go. You can't just rule one day that, hey, every NHL player, you have to wear a neck guard. You got to collectively bargain for that type of choice. I don't know. I'm a little more pessimistic about like the timeline for NHL players around the league wearing them. I think it might be a little bit slower than like, let's say, majority in 5 years. I do think if you grandfather it in though, within a decade, that sounds about right to have a majority of players with neck guards. I wonder how long it took for visors to become like popular in the NHL because I think that for us we were too young to really like see that unfold. Didn't really think about stuff like that as a little kid. But yeah, do you know what Oshi's company is? I know that he was wearing
War Road Hockey.
War Road, yeah. So apparently, like tons of teams and just like actual players have been inquiring with Oshie and his company there on neck guard technology to wear that. So that's really cool. I do think like individual advocates is probably like the strongest way to get support of other players instead of like team mandates. I do think like Oshie did a really good job of. First of all, he already had a company before this that does this type of stuff. So kudos to him. He's ahead of the game. And his comments, I don't know if either of you guys heard his comments about why he chose to. Yeah, give us a read of that quote.
I made the choice for my kids. I want to stick around for him. that was the like direct
Yeah.
quote that he had. So.
Yeah, no, it's a powerful quote, and we know that he went through a lot with his own family, right? Where he lost his father fairly young after winning the cup. The story there, so it's powerful to hear that from Oshie. And hopefully we see a couple more players like throughout the year. Like hopefully this doesn't get brushed to the side very quickly. I don't know if any Leaf players honestly been wearing anything that I've
I haven't
seen.
noticed.
I haven't noticed either. So
And that's something
hopefully gets more traction.
And that's something 100% that would have been pointed out, I think, especially
Yes,
with
you're
our
right.
fan base. Like that would have been, thing number one.
You guys
Whether
actually
that
do have a
be,
player.
do
You
we?
guys actually do have a
No.
player that is
So then
sponsored
we
by
are
War
wrong.
Road.
Oh, that's
Who is it?
sponsored. But are they
Oh,
wearing
okay.
I don't know if they're wearing it,
the?
but he reps the
Okay.
brand, and it's a great
Who is
advocate.
it?
It's Matthew Nyes.
Oh,
Matty Nyes. Yeah. So but I do think like the War Road probably has like products other than neck guards, right? Like I think they just have
Yep.
Under Armour stuff in general. So it could be that, and that maybe just doesn't have a neck guard yet. The other thing too, though, is I think they had so much interest in the neck guard products
Sold out.
that it's sold out. And usually how these companies work, like not even just War Road, but Bauer, CCM, Sherwood, all these companies, they mass manufacture for the start of the season because that's when people buy this stuff. And then manufacturing really slows down during the year because there isn't many people that are trying to buy at that time. So now all of a sudden we have a freak event that really upticks the demand in the products, but we don't have the product.
and there's no
So maybe
supply.
that's why. Yeah, no supply right now. So maybe that's why we haven't seen as much NHL players, where maybe in 2-3 weeks we actually see more of this happening.
Yeah, maybe by the new year we'll definitely get an
Yeah.
uptick, I think, by the new year for sure.
It's just gonna take a bit of time, but you know what? After what occurred, it is the right step in the right direction. Okay, let's bounce to the next topic. The Dadonov debacle that should have been settled, like 3 years ago?
3 years ago, 2 years ago.
So basically, what will occur is that the Senators will forfeit a first-round pick. It's their choice of which one in either 2024, 2025, or 2026.
Has to be theirs as well. Can't be somebody else's that they trade for. Has to be theirs.
Won't be this year though, because this year's probably going to be a high pick. So I don't know. I think this is a fair punishment. They really goofed with not letting Vegas know about the no trade clause or the no trade list or whatever it was. I'm just surprised that it's this soft of a punishment. No fine in accordance. There should be a fine. It should be a little bit heavier. You legitimately hurt another team and made them throw their hands up in the most crucial point of the year, the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I
So
think it's a fair point.
So I think maybe just to speak on that, Bri, I think because this is an on ice, it's a technical on ice issue. You know what I mean? Like in terms of this player can't suit, like he has a no trade list going to another team to suit up for another team, like as in the Anaheim Ducks, right? But I think if this was unfortunately a situation like what happened to the Chicago Blackhawks, they received a fine because that was more of an off ice situation. So I think that's the distinguishing line. But are you saying maybe more a severe punishment in terms of more picks, like maybe a first and a second or something like that? Because the Arizona Coyotes got docked how many picks for
The draft stuff,
the draft stuff?
I want to say it was just the first.
Was it just one
Yeah.
first?
I think so. And
I think that it was
honestly, to me,
more.
this is worse than
Yeah,
I
way
think this is worse as
right?
well. So
Yeah.
So where is the precedent, basically, right? And this is the story. This has been the story of the NHL for as long as the league has been around. There, as long as Gary Bettman's been around. Honestly, where is the precedent? Like, what is? I mean, granted, how many times are we seeing a situation like this happen? Have we seen a situation like
I've
this
never
happen
seen this before.
in the past? Yeah, 20 years. This is the first time, right?
I think even like across all sports, like violating a no trade list. I don't know. It's just a weird one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to pull that one out of my hat, basically, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there isn't a precedent. Is this the precedent though that the league wanted to set? Like, You know, you get docked. I mean, granted, a first round pick, it's probably worth about. I think there's measurements that were going around. It's anywhere between like 30. No, I think it's like
Like
6 to 10. No, I
six to
think it's
ten
6 to
million.
$10 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, between all the development that you put in, all the scouting, all that type of stuff,
Right.
you know, it's probably worth around $6 million or probably a little bit more. I don't know. Is this the precedent that the league wants to set? That's my question.
For me, it's also the idea of like you need to be respectful of the players, which is A, and B, you need to be respectful to the team you're doing business with.
Yeah.
By not letting them know about a no trade clause, it technically boosts the value of your asset in the sense that they wouldn't know about it. And
Yeah.
in some cases, they probably wouldn't like a no trade clause is so big, it would probably make the deal fall apart. Like if I know that this guy's a no trade clause and he's coming here, it makes it harder for me to ship him out if I need to, which is exactly
Well,
what
it gives
occurred.
the other team more leverage, right? You know,
It
if
does.
they're asking him to waive it, you know, that whatever, I think it was like a second round pick that was going to go the other way. Maybe that turns into like a fifth rounder if they know that he's on the no trade list. Just try to get
Highly
him over,
possible.
right?
It's like if you're buying a house and like you need to disclose everything, right? Or
Yeah.
the seller needs to disclose everything to you. If they don't disclose something to you, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah,
This
well,
is
that isn't
basically
that.
what happened.
I'm almost certain that's grounds for like a lawsuit.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah. So like this is Vegas saying we want to have your player data enough. Okay, here's our player data enough. Oh, by the way, or not even by the way, they just don't mention who's on the no trade list. It's just
Yeah,
not talked about. Well, you've got to cough that up, right?
yeah.
So that's kind of what this reminds me of. I would say if you had to make a change to what they got, what they have to forfeit, you could maybe argue a second on top of this because I think that's what Anaheim was supposed to get back for Dadonov from Vegas,
Okay.
right? So they missed out on a second round pick because that trade or that half of the trade didn't happen because I think the other half still did. I think they got like John Boer and someone else. So, but Dadonov for the second was voided, and so the Ducks never ended up with that pick. So I don't know if maybe they could have done something with the forfeiture of the first ending up with Anaheim or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that type of
That's
technical change, but like I'm
I
fine with the punishment in a vacuum, to be honest.
I think that the punishment there should have been a reward to recover from the other teams because of the fact that like my team wasn't directly impacted by this. Like I don't know why
Yeah,
it's a league-wide punishment. I think the pick should have directly went to the team because it actually put their hands up in the air in a crucial point of the season.
yeah.
Yeah.
This wasn't just one team disobeying rules. It was a team disobeying rules that directly impacted another team, right? So
Yeah.
I could see that. Even if maybe let's say it's not fining the Senators like 2 million or something, maybe it's compensating Anaheim 2 million or something like that, right? Like maybe there could have been something like that.
In
I,
damages.
I yeah, this is convoluted though. Like I don't know if there would ever
It's
been a
messy.
right answer. Like we're probably having this conversation no matter what the NHL announces as the punishment.
And
Probably.
okay, but we're staying on Senators because it just gets crazier. Pierre Dorion gets sacked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is and it's a direct result of this, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think basically since Dorian has been the GM, which was he came after I think it was Brian Murray was the previous GM, and then he
Yeah.
unfortunately passed away. Dorian came into power, and basically since then we have some Senators drama like every couple months. Something Melnick related, something player related, the Eric Carlson trade stuff, the Mike Hoffman stuff with Eric Carlson. Mike Hoffman getting traded to San Jose, then getting flipped to Florida, and the Dorian being mad because he didn't want him to end up in Florida. Like
Yeah.
so many things have happened every single year. The sale of the Senators, the Ryan Reynolds thing, Shane Pinto, Alex Foreman. Like there's just so many things going on with the Senators all the time. I think it's impossible to say that Dorian's tenure has been a success. Listen, there is players under really good deals in Ottawa, but you also have stuff like hiring DJ Smith and sticking with him through all these years, despite having like bad starts to the past 3-4 seasons when there was expectation for the Senators. You have like the Zaitsev deal, the Matt Murray deal, where we we've got him, and they're paying him right now when we aren't paying him a thing, even though he's on LTIR. The Senators are, like, it's against their cap, I should say. The Norris thing last year where he had the shoulder injury, then he came back, and then within like 2 games,
hurt again.
He was
got
hurt
hurt
again,
again,
yeah.
right? So
And
that
it was
puts
out
a
for the
question.
season.
Yeah, so there's so many things where even though we can say like the Senators are a promising, young, up-and-coming team, I refuse to call Dorion's tenure a success.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, no playoff appearances since 2017.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
Right?
2017, yeah.
2017, he would have been a part of that. He was, because I think he was hired in 2015. If it was 8 seasons that he was
part of
Yeah,
the
if it was
org
8 seasons,
somewhere.
then yeah. He was definitely front office at lowest, like, AGM.
Yeah. But yeah, no, obviously 100%, like, and it's not even just that, but it's like his like, if you remember the iteration of the Senators just before this iteration was probably one of the most like toxic dressing rooms in the league. Another thing that you forgot to mention was that the taxi video, one of the most
Oh my god.
How did we
one of
forget
the
about that
most
one?
damning
Oh my
pieces
god.
of hockey media that we've ever seen. Like, just
It's also a very
blatantly,
funny video, to be honest.
it is a hilarious video. Just blatantly calling out coaches left and right. Like, is it fair to say that Dorion had a major part of like the culture, or like why the culture in Ottawa was so toxic? I think that's unfair to say, but I don't disagree that he wasn't a part of it at some point. Like, you built this team, you built the foundation, and granted, it definitely started above him, and rest in peace to Eugene Melnyk, but the later years of his life, he wasn't as well received by Ottawa Senators fans and media, and just that whole fan base really wasn't as receptive towards him as they were in the past. That's it. Ottawa's, the Sens have just been a team they've just been in like a constant. They're always doing like a cartwheel, right? Like, at the start of the season, their expectations are up here, right? And then it literally within the first month of the season, every single time it's within the month of October, November, there's always something that, if it's a poor start or something happens, then it just their season just
It's usually both, yeah.
a downturn, and then by the draft they'll draft a guy like Brady Tkachuk with like their 7th pick, and then the fans are back on the hype train again, right? Like that. It's just the cycle. I mean, granted, this is Rich coming from a Leaf fan, but if you guys get my point,
we
right?
go through a different cycle. Yeah,
we definitely do. We have
we're
our
on
own
a different
cycles.
timeline, but yeah.
Let's talk about Dorion's replacement.
Steve Staios.
His
boss.
Stevie
Yeah,
Staios. His boss is
PM,
now replacing his job. Yeah. It's funny, like when Dubas took over, same title with the Penguins, he was like, yeah, so I'm gonna like take a couple months to find like my GM. And then he just said, after a couple months of searching, I have decided that I am the best option to be GM. Yeah, me. It turns out it is me. I'm hiring me. Steve Staios, he did this in world record time. I think he got hired like 2-3 weeks ago. And it is me. He gets on the interim tag. He might end up hiring a GM, but it is just funny. It's funny.
I honestly, I doubt it. I'll be honest with you. That's a lot of power to wield.
And Dave, I mean, you heard some of his comments yesterday. Yeah. I caught like literally like 15 seconds of it and just heard him speaking, but I think you caught a little bit more. Anything like stick out to you specifically?
He definitely seems more committed than Pierre ever did.
Dorion also wasn't a good public speaker, right? Like, don't you remember? What was the quote? We're a team.
We're a team, dude. God, get that, Michael. See, that's something that I think
that's like Ross Atkins.
It will definitely benefit a lot like Ross Atkins. It will definitely benefit the Senators to have somebody who knows. I'm not going to doubt that Pierre Dorion is a smart individual. He has made some smart moves. He's also made some head scratching moves. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the Senators need somebody who thinks and talks with an air of confidence about him. Pierre Dorion always seemed to me like to be somebody who is like, oh, gee, guys, I'm so glad to be in this position right now. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for even giving me the opportunity. And he always felt kind of like
Very
meek.
aloof.
Yeah, aloof. That's a perfect word to describe Pierre Dorion. Steve Staios, I would argue, is the complete opposite of being aloof. And for a franchise who's now looking, it's been a couple of years now where their expectations have been mounting. They've been clawing and scratching to get through the ceiling of whatever that they've had so far. If I'm gonna, rebuild a team and tell them like these are your expectations this year, you have to make it to the playoffs. Who do I want, at the top of all of that? Is probably Steve Staios, from what I've seen after like one interview. He's a fantastic public speaker.
Some good first impressions then, yeah.
Another great public speaker is Brady Tkachuk, who is taking a bit of the smoke off of their coach DJ Smith right now. He says it's frustrating whenever you don't win. It's frustrating. The negativity from outside, the constant booing and the bull from the crowd tonight, calling out the fans essentially. Ottawa's not in a good place right now.
That would go down terribly bad in Toronto.
Yeah.
Just imagine if Tavares came out and said the BS from the crowd tonight and the constant booing. They would get torched. There would be jerseys on the ice before puck dropped the next game.
He would have had the Islanders 2.0 thing if that was John Tavares.
Yes.
Like if that was Tavares, like we would have
no joke, man.
jerseys lining the streets being burnt at the stake.
Yeah. I think Tkachuk will probably come out with an apology at his next press conference and say something like, I was just passionate and I understand the fans are passionate and got the best of me, just a tough time. So he's going to have one of those apologies and I think everything will be fine in Ottawa. But man, it's just like drama on top of drama on top of drama in Ottawa. I don't know if you guys saw like what the owner was saying too about the whole, like the Dadonov thing and the Pinto thing, right? I think we were actually talking about this in our chat. They were saying like the NHL has to be like what a sin to commit.
If anybody
to a
needs
new
compensation.
Owner.
Anybody I know we're talking about the Anaheim Ducks getting compensation, the Vegas Golden Knights compensation, dude. Michael Andlauer needs compensation right now.
You know what's bad when we're saying that the billionaire needs compensation?
Yeah, like oh my god.
So apparently they kept him in the dark. He didn't know about either investigation on Pinto and on Dadonov. And the NHL was doing both.
That's not necessarily true. They mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, they mentioned the Dadonov thing, but they were like, oh, it's nothing to worry about.
Don't worry about it. It's just this tiny thing. It'll take care of itself. Don't worry.
You're just gonna lose a first round pick within the next 3 years.
And he had a quote, he's like, I don't know, like I think a first round pick matters a lot. And he said, like someone asked him like what you're looking forward to after this whole thing, and he's just like less calls from the NHL. Like he is pissed. He's not maybe not pissed, but he's agitated. He's agitated. Yeah,
anybody would be.
Yeah. Honestly, imagine if a different ownership group got the Sens. Like this guy's experienced. He had the minority ownership with the Habs. He's been involved in this for a long time. But let's say it was the Ryan Reynolds group. Like who's the spokesperson coming up to the mic? Ryan. What are they saying? They're gonna rip the NHL. Honestly, he probably kept it light. He kept it professional.
Are you guys like? Do you think Gary would mess with Ryan Reynolds' money? Like,
exactly.
This guy's a superstar. He's known worldwide. He has a track record of with the sports franchise with his with the soccer team Wrexham, right? Dude, if Ryan Reynolds was the one to come out and be like, this league is run so ass backwards that I don't even know what I signed myself up for. That would be the death nail. Like somebody should start a new hockey league after that, because that would be the death nail for the NHL if Ryan Reynolds had to come out. And thank God I knew there definitely was a reason why. And it's very obvious that it's documented. I don't have the sources in front of me that the NHL wanted Michael Andlauer to officially win the bid, winning over the likes of, there was a bid from like what's his name? Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was in there. Like
What was
Ryan
the
Reynolds
one
was
that
in there.
Reynolds was with, like Remington Homes? Like that's like
Yep.
crazy big that they could have had all of the residents built like at the new Sens Arena. Like it would have been a seamless thing, and it just inexplicably didn't happen.
But they went with Michael Andlauer because Michael Andlauer is, he's not in with the league, but
been in the
he's
game.
been around the league for a long time, so he knows what's going on, and they know that
He knows the
how
NHL's BS.
You know what he
He's
knows?
it's fine with it.
Michael Andlauer knew before this how to keep his mouth shut, and that's what Gary thought. Bringing in Andlauer into the situation, but it turns out that when you mess with $100 million of a billionaire's $1 billion, dude, you're gonna find out the hard way. He's not gonna keep quiet, basically, right?
Yeah. It's like stuff's gonna start coming out more and more, and we're gonna see the impacts of the situation.
Real quick before we go to break, we've got like expansion talks every year with the NHL. Bettman loves to plant his little seeds about Salt Lake and Houston and Atlanta. I don't know, are any of those owners liking this news?
Yeah, no.
Right?
If I'm a prospective owner, I'm saying, why am I buying into this league when I could buy into the NBA or the MLS or the NFL or go overseas to like European soccer or something like that? Like, why am I buying into this league? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
why would this be your first choice?
Well, we know if this is your first choice, there's a chance that you might lose a superstar due to betting issues that you probably should have known about, and a first round pick due to a debacle of the old previous regime. We'll just go on a quick break. We'll be right back. We are back from break. Let's talk about something even more depressing than the Senators, the Sharks.
Oh God!
Who have conceded 20 goals in the past 2 games.
20 goals in 3 days, dude.
This is the comedy portion of the podcast. Like, I don't know. Are we gonna do analysis here? No chance, man. This is just funny. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I've now, the cycle has gone from like, oh, were they really this bad to wow, they're bad. Now I'm just laughing. I no longer feel bad. I'm enjoying this now. It's just funny. It's just funny, man.
You know who's not enjoying it? That kid who was at his first ever San Jose Sharks game against the Canucks.
Dude, the timing on that though, like his face was
fantastic.
Like, he was like, what the hell did I get myself into?
What did you guys bring me to? Yeah. What is this?
If that kid is still a Sharks fan after this week, like, I don't know, put his number up in the rafters. Ask him what his favorite number is.
Give him season tickets after this.
Make that guy the mascot. Like that kid is in it for life, man.
Yeah, he deserves it. He definitely does.
I've got to say, I'm disappointed that they're this bad with those jerseys because I kind of think their uniforms are awesome, to be honest.
They are nice jerseys.
And I hate when a team that's got sick uniforms sucks because it taints the uniform, right? It's like the Stadium Series against the Caps for the Leafs. They had that beautiful white jersey with the blue stripes, and it said like, what did it say on the collar? It was like "I Captain" or something.
Yeah,
man. It was some like
something. It was some like old like English like out east term or something like that.
Yeah,
and it was got ruined because we got smoked.
We lost like 5-1 or
5-2 that game.
Yeah, and so because of that, you don't see that jersey. If we won that game, that jersey would be so much more popular. But that's what this reminds me of.
Instead,
I didn't think they'd be this bad, man. Yeah, you had the pajama jersey. That one wasn't. We destroyed you in the jersey matchup that year.
Yeah, and you guys took us on the ice, dude.
That's when we had 2C Thomas Bucatics. That's the year that it was.
Good.
We have something similar with the Weagle. Like it was our first outdoor game where we lost. We had a 100% win ratio going into that. We got smoked by Carolina, and
you guys had the better jersey, I thought too. Yeah, pretty sure. I'm trying to remember what the Hurricanes jersey was, but yours was pretty cool. The Sharks. Like we don't even want to talk about the Sharks here, right? That's how bad they are.
I will say,
what is there to talk about, dude? Fabian Zetterlund is our leading goal scorer with like 4 goals.
I swear I saw a thing where it was like players on the Sharks with the initials FZ have more goals than the rest of the team because it's Fabian Zetterlund and Philip Zadina. Like I forgot Zadine was on the rest of the team.
And you know how many goals they have combined?
6. Like 6. It's insane,
awesome.
man.
I just got that in back-to-back games or something like that.
Dude, for a time during the Sharks game, Austin Matthews had more goal than the San Jose Sharks on the season.
Yeah.
So-
they were
The San Jose Sharks
deadlocked
are
at
not
10-10.
Dude, the San Jose Sharks are in the race for the Rocket Richard. The problem is they're a team, not a player. Like what the
The whole
hell?
franchise.
Oh
my
god,
God.
bro. Their
So they-
goaltending is like atrocious. Like just put in David Ayers. I don't know. Put in David Quinn because that guy's a hockey terrorist. Like I hate him. I've hated him since the Rangers. I don't know.
Poor
That
guy.
guy's right
But
up there with Dallas
dude,
Aikens.
I
He
don't think
sucks.
I don't think anybody like I know you can hate a person as much as you want. I don't think anybody should be going through back-to-back consecutive ankle rubbings, dude. Like
Oh
that.
my god,
Oh my
man.
god, dude.
So
Awful.
Hurdle after the Vancouver game, he like I don't have the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of like, "This is the most embarrassing loss of my career." Nope, this is now.
The second one. Which one's more
I-
embarrassing, Dave? I think the first one's more embarrassing because they only scored one goal. At least yesterday they scored
Yeah,
two.
but you would think that like
That's
after conceding 10, you would
Dude.
want to like have something
Have
Yeah.
a bounce back.
Wasn't it like I want to say it was like 4 or 5 years ago that Montreal put up a 10 spot on like Columbus,
Colorado.
and then
yeah.
it was some of but then like Columbus put up a 10 spot in their next game on someone else. Like they
Somebody
passed
else.
the torch.
Yeah.
This is not passing the torch. This
No,
is just like whoever
you
comes
can't.
in, get your 10 goals. Like how many goals did the Flyers
dummy
score
the
in, eh?
team
Yeah, like they literally got beat by a football score
twice.
Twice.
Twice
The
in
Flyers
3
are
days.
winning like I don't know 15-0
72
next
hours.
game. Okay,
Yeah.
like oh my god,
Are they?
that's a
gonna win the game
must-watch TV.
November?
I'm taking the under. What's the line set at 0.5? Like oh my god, yeah, I'm out of oxygen on the
Okay.
Sharks to be honest.
So I have one question.
Yeah.
One game I like to play with myself. Well, hold on, relax.
Oh my god.
One thing I like to do every year is go through the worst team in the league, like go through their roster and picking out players who, by the trade deadline should have enough value that you could get something in return.
There's two.
I am looking at this roster. I genuinely don't think anybody on this roster except for maybe there's Thomas Hurdle and there's Anthony Duclair. Thomas Hurdle, they're not gonna let go of.
No,
yeah,
no.
he signed
that's-
to infinity and beyond.
No one would
That's
take
the
him.
only one. But
Oh,
everybody,
no,
I
what do you
think
mean? I would take him. I would take
I
him.
would take
Because
him.
he
Yeah,
used
yeah.
up his deal.
yeah,
I would take him. He's not.
I would
no,
take
he's
him
honestly
too.
that good, but like
Yeah.
he's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
yeah. Everybody else on this team is fair game, dude. Besides Anthony Duclair, I don't think there's anybody on this team that is worth more than a 5th round pick. Like
It's bad.
It's bad, dude. It is really bad. Mark-Edward Vlasic, 10 years ago, was the 6th D-man of the year on that Team Canada team. He might genuinely be the worst player in the league.
Dude, do you know? Okay, he's played in 8 games this year. He's making $7 million for this year, next year, and the year after.
Good Lord.
He's only averaging 13 minutes of time on ice. This
Yeah,
guy
not a contract.
sucks. He sucks. He had 0 points in those 8 games, by the way. Yeah, their leading scorer is Hurdle with 7 points. After that, it's Zetterlund with 4. So only only 2 players have 4 or more points. Jesus Christ.
Is
Jesus
trading someone
Christ.
to the Sharks right now a war crime?
Yeah,
Like,
it's up there, man. It's torturous. It's their save percentages. Blackwood in 8 games has an 879. I'm
surprised it's that
high.
high, I'll be honest with you.
I'm same thing.
Kakkinen, okay, wait, let me guess Kakkinen.
Okay, sorry.
There is no way that
You're right.
Capo Kakkinen has something over 870, dude. I was convinced that guy was at least like 800 flat.
Even the guy that came in relief yesterday, this guy's name has to be made up. Like this guy does not exist. His name is Magnus Krona.
Yeah,
that guy sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh character or something.
Yeah.
In his NHL debut, he gave up 8 goals in relief and had a 765 save percentage.
poor guy.
Poor Magnus
Poor
Krona.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll
Let's
end the
move on,
Sharks
man.
on
Dear
a,
God.
We'll end the Sharks on a high note. I don't have the stats, but in the NCAA, Boston College is tearing it up. Will Smith is leading that team. That's one thing they have to be hopeful for.
Probably a
Everything
I
first
think
round pick
if you're a
this year.
Sharks fan, you're watching more Boston College games than Sharks
Yeah.
games. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Let's
man.
jump to the next thing. Carolina Hurricanes are looking to move a defenseman, specifically Tony DeAngelo.
No
Let's
thanks.
rapid fire through these ones. Like, yeah, no, thank you. That sounds good. Yeah, okay, on to the next one. I don't know. No, like, there's really not much more to say. They're not trading anyone else.
I'm
No.
good.
Like, but also, why did they trade for him? Remember the whole debacle?
Yeah.
This other, because the NHL is a debacle every month. Remember the D'Angelo debacle where they couldn't trade for him because it was
Yeah.
cap circumvention?
And then they did still.
And then
like,
they
you
did?
should have just left it. You should
Yeah,
have just left it as
and
is.
now that
Frustrated
they
that
did, they went through all that crap just to say, no, you know what, the
The-
Flyers are right. He does suck.
Yeah. The NHL and their cap were doing them and their the triple hard cap were doing them
Yeah.
the Carolina Hurricanes a favor by saying, listen, you are so close against the cap that you cannot fit this player under. Don't trade for him. And what did the Carolina Hurricanes do? Everybody with me now? They traded for him, guys.
Rare
They
Carolina
traded for him.
Hurricanes L. Really rare Carolina Hurricanes.
It's
Very
true.
rare.
This is true.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
let's
Not something
go.
you would see
Rapid
normally.
fire.
Let's go.
Patrick
Keep going.
Kane is weeks away from an NHL return. Which team would provide the best fit? I'm gonna throw my money on New Jersey.
I'm going New York.
I'm going Sharks. I think they really need the offense. No, I'm gonna go Colorado. They're just
Colorado's a good
where
show.
everyone goes who like I just feel like that's
Kane
the
in the
move that ends up
Colorado jersey is
happening.
cardinal sin.
Yeah, I agree, but that's why I can see it. Like it's just gonna
Okay.
happen.
Clifton suspended 2 games for his headshot in Hischier. I did not see the hit, so I will not comment.
Did you see this one, Dave, or no?
I don't even know when this had happened. I'll be completely honest with you. When was this one?
I was doing suspension and injury roundup. I saw that he was suspended 2 games. I looked it up. It's a cut and dry headshot. Like I think he should have missed games after this too. Like
Okay.
it's a headshot. I brought this up just because what's the next thing that we have there,
This
Brian?
is Jack Hughes.
Charlie McAvoy suspended
Oh.
4 games for his headshot on OEL. I did
Did
see
you guys
this.
see this one? Okay, yeah.
No, this one is
This is
bad.
murder.
This
This
was
one is bad. That one is really bad.
Did we talk about Anderson on line A?
We did.
We did.
Okay.
We did.
Dude, what the F is it? The past 2 weeks, 3 weeks? That's 3 separate chicken wing incidents.
All by defensemen on star players.
Yeah,
not stars, but yeah,
or
Names.
Pretty good players.
OEL isn't a star, but like he's playing high up on the Panthers right now by necessity.
I mean,
he's a name.
he has to.
Yeah.
He is a name. That's a good way to put it. Names.
Like, what is it? Like, what's going on? Is everybody just like going crazy? Like, what?
It's like you said, Dave. Chicken wings, man. They're like buy one get one. It's all you can eat chicken wings right now, man.
Oh man,
yeah,
crazy.
I'm gonna go more into this McAvoy stuff when we do some other talk. It'll be brought up again, but yeah, okay.
And LTIR roundup. They're all defenders. Timothy Liljegren. We'll get into that later. I know someone wants to talk about that. Adam Fox, Matt Grzelcyk, and Thomas Chabot, which will be coming up later as well. Okay, Capitals. I don't want to speak about the Capitals too much, but I will speak about one player on the Capitals that made some pretty big headlines. Nicklas Backstrom stepping away from hockey. Going into the season, I kind of thought that it was time for him to hang it up. He didn't finish the season well last year, but then he had a great preseason. And I was like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of hope. Obviously this year, I think he has like 1 point, if that. Hasn't been too good, and he decides to step away. It's really sad. And this guy should probably be a Hall of Famer. I think he has a solid argument. And on top of that, he's just a Capitals legend. He's going to have his number retired very shortly once Ovechkin is up. I think they'll do it together. Okay, let's go over some career stats. 1,105 games played, 271 goals, but 762 assists for 1,033 points. In the playoffs,
that's pretty damn good, man.
Very, very good. In the playoffs, he has 114 playoff points, 38 goals, 76 assists, 7 game-winning goals, and 4 of them are in overtime. Pretty clutch player.
That's a really big stat. Wow. And I think a lot of people wouldn't expect that from him, to be honest. Like I don't know if he has a reputation as a big game player, but the stats back it up. Wow.
Big game goals.
Yeah.
The big
Yeah.
one that I remember
Yeah.
was Game 5 against Columbus. It was 2-2 in the
Ooh.
series, 2018.
This is when you were
Orlov,
2 seconds away from going down like 3-0 in the series, right? This is the year you won the cup.
yes, this is the year we won the cup,
Yeah.
but it was game 5, so it was like 2-2 already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it was either Orlov or it's probably Orlov. He throws the puck down, and Backstrom just skates in past the goalie, just tips it in like around. I don't remember who the goalie was. Columbus
Was it
2018.
Bobrovsky?
Bobrovsky?
Bobrovsky, that's who it was. Yes, and it was just so seamless. And obviously that sets us on the run that we have going forward. Another great moment I wanted to mention: 2018 Game 5. Everybody's seen this pass. We're on the power play. He calls Oshie forward, and then he just saucers the puck through 5 guys to Ovechkin back post in the one-time spot. And obviously, we know the end of what happens after that end of the game. I also just wanted to point out 2 seasons for Backstrom that really stood out. 09-10. This is our super year. This is the year that we just blew up. This is the first year I started watching hockey, actually, which is like pretty crazy to think
Pretty
about.
good year.
Pretty good year to start watching. 101 points, 4th in scoring. The only players that beat him were prime Henrik Sedin, Crosby, and Ovechkin. Crosby and Ovechkin at 109. Sedin was at 112 or something like that. But Backstrom came
That
in
was the
at
year he
101.
just went off, man.
Yeah.
Because wasn't it with the Sedins that one year Daniel was injured and then the other year Henrik was injured, and they just
Yeah.
said we're just gonna pop off for like Hart Trophy level seasons. Yeah. Wow,
Yes.
man. 101 points is that's the career high. That's pretty good. And that's like in an era when
Dead
scoring
scoring.
was not as high as it is right now. So
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive, man. Um my you know what's this is really, really miscellaneous, but my Backstrom moment, the first thing I think of when it's like, what do I remember in Backstrom's career is watching the 2014 Winter Olympics, the morning Canada versus Sweden, the gold medal game,
Oh,
and
the
hearing
Adderall.
that Backstrom, that
Oh, the
Backstrom
allergy
will not
medication.
be, that he's not going to be in the game because of like an allergy thing. I'm like, what the hell kind of BS in the Olympics is this? This is the first thing I thought of. I don't know. I just want to bring that up. I don't know if you
No,
guys
I
remember
remember
that
that
or
too.
not, but yeah, it
I
was just so
remember
weird.
that.
Yeah,
He took like
because this
allergy
is like
medication.
2014. It was the gold medal game was like at like 9 a.m. on a Sunday or something.
Yeah, I
It
remember
was
that
so
because it was
weird.
in
Yeah,
Russia. It's like 12
yeah,
hours. No, a
yeah.
little bit
And so
less,
I
but
woke up and I'm watching the game. I'm like so groggy. I'm just like I'm like we're like 14, and I'm just like I gotta wake up for this game. I gotta watch it. They're just like Backstrom's not in. I'm like, the hell happened? Is he injured? No, it's just allergy medication. That was weird. That was weird. Shout out to
There,
Backstrom though. Great career. Yeah. Other than
yeah,
that,
there's one more thing I just wanted to bring up. 16-17. This is the year we had our God Squad. This is like the super team.
it's the year we play you.
yeah.
Yes. Backstrom was our leading point scorer, 86 points, 4th in scoring that year with 86, which is pretty amazing. If like, think again now, McDavid's hitting 150, right? But this is the year Ovechkin wasn't good. Ovechkin had like 65 points or 67 points or something like that. He only had like 30 goals as well.
Yeah.
Backstrom showed up big that year with Oshie as his line mate, and they probably like carried us throughout most of the regular season, even though Ovechkin had a down year. Obviously, that year didn't end up pretty great. The next year was probably the best year for the team's franchise, like for the franchise going forward. Um, and it is Backstrom's one accolade, the 2018 Cup. No individual awards, unfortunately, but with 1,000 points, over 1,000 games played, should be a lock for Hall of Famer. Going forward, I see him as like an AGM, something like that, a role, something similar to what all these legacy players are getting with their organizations. For now, though, I think he just wants to step away, take a break from everything. Oshie had a great quote. It was something along the lines of, I'll be seeing a lot of him because we're neighbors, but the rest of the team and the rest of the league will really miss having him around. I also just wanted to say that Backstrom was a player that never had any drama. A player with
Yeah.
those numbers, typically you'd expect him to be in the highlights, in the media all the time, a superstar. But his Instagram's private. He doesn't tweet. He stays away from that stuff. And there's just like there's some players that we have on our team that just run their mouth sometimes, maybe in different languages, or some other players in the league that just do the wrong thing organizationally. This guy's never done that, and I'm very grateful to have had him on my team for all these years. Best of luck to him, and hope to see you soon. Number 19 will be in the rafters shortly.
Yeah.
He's your favorite player all time, right? Like even ahead of
I'd say
Ovi,
so.
or yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah. Wow, man. Yeah, that's a big one then, Brian. That's yeah.
If there's one thing about Brian, it's he loves people who are, and you said it perfectly before, Brian, people that play the game seamlessly. And there's two players that come to mind for you, Brian, Nick Backstrom and Aiden Hazard. Like if you're gonna point out two players in their respective sports to watch, just to watch like magic happen on the ice, like, you know, Ovi gets all of the accolades just because, you know, 60 goal scorer, 50 goal scorer, whatever. But a lot of that doesn't happen without the seamlessness of somebody like Nicklas Backstrom. And you can say the same, like, with all those great Chelsea teams, Bri, I know, you know, especially, like, a lot of their success doesn't happen without the seamlessness of Eden Hazard. So I know Brian's type of player is, if you are if you are seamless, if you make watching the sport
Simple
magical,
but pretty. Yeah.
Simple but pretty, that's Brian's guy. So it also helps that he's you know, he's a very like he is a pretty reserved guy, and also like a well-liked guy. Like there's people who are reserved and people like take it the wrong way, but he is reserved and well-liked by everybody. I don't think I've ever heard a story saying like Nick Backstrom is, you know, an asshole or something like that. Like, he seems like a good dude. So
there's Ovechkin haters, there's Crosby haters. I don't think there's a Nick Backstrom hater.
No, there can't be, dude.
Yeah.
And you know what? With guys like that, good guys always do get rewarded. So I think we're gonna see Nick Backstrom in a position of, you know, prominence in the future. I always thought he would go into coaching, but I could also see him heading into like management as well. But I think regardless, we're gonna see him somewhere around the game. I think within the next, like, you know, 10 years, we'll probably, you know, and he'll probably end up being with like the Caps organization.
He negotiated his last contract, right? So I mean, he's got to have at least like a fake interest in like player management and stuff, right? Like, I wonder if he honestly did. Yeah, he honestly did. So he's gonna be a player agent, boys. We figured it out, man.
That's what it is.
Keep him away from Willie this summer, but yeah.
Or maybe it'll be the inverse. Maybe he'll be negotiating on behalf of the team to get great
hard
deals.
Negotiator, okay.
Because you always got to remember that he did take the fall in the first contract, so he learned from his lesson.
That's
and
true.
He made it in the second.
Okay.
We had Backstrom on 6.5 for his whole
for like 11 years or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Literally, like most of his like hockey.
It was one of those illegal deals.
It's okay. He made up for it now, and he'll be, you know, enjoying the rest of this contract.
Always have that cup, right? You'll always have that cup.
Can't take it away from him.
Leonsis he made a tweet. He's like, we will support this guy from the beginning to the end. And I think that just shows, like, if the owner has that much regard for you, well, so should the rest of the organization.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough Capitals. I'm going to take you guys across the country, coast to coast, with a few questions regarding the Canadian teams, except for one, because we'll be getting into that team later. We'll start all the way west. Vancouver. My question for Vancouver is, will Pettersson have MVP consideration by the end of the year? Obviously, right now, he's probably 1 or 2, but will this form continue?
I think we always talk about, like, he's a fringe top 5 forward, and I think that's good enough to get you into hard consideration. Like you said, right now, he's definitely on the ballot. Can he maintain that over a whole season? I think it's probably more yes than no right now, based on his form, based on how the team is playing, especially if they get into the playoffs, right? That's usually like a little bit of a boost on the hard ballot compared to guys who are like fringe playoff teams. If he's in there, he'll get some more votes. I wonder if he's kind of at a deficit because he plays on the same team as Quinn Hughes. Does that split the vote a bit? But I think, honestly, what usually like NHL voters do is like, oh, if it's a forward and a defenseman, well, you just give the Norris to the defenseman and then give the Hart Trophy to the forward. That's usually how it goes. I'll
That
go,
is.
yeah.
I think so. The only thing is, I think Pedersen kind of got blessed a little bit this year with the likes of McDavid, Draisaitl having slow starts to their year. Guys like Tage, like Thompson is starting to come into his own. Guys like Jason Robertson, who we thought would be scoring like 50 plus goals this year, may not hit that mark. Yeah, unfortunately, Jack Hughes went down with injury a few days ago, and it's uncertain right now how long he's going to be out. So if there's any time to break out and break into like the upper echelon of that top tier, it's probably this year. One question I have for the Canucks is, are they going to be able to keep up their goal scoring pace right now is like
It's a little inflated.
It's record setting. Yeah, it's at a level that's probably unsustainable. So can they keep a semblance of the of that goal scoring going for the rest, like the next 70 games? That will be determined. If they can keep a semblance of it, I think Pedersen's gonna have to have a big part of that. So we're gonna see. I think he will too.
Okay, Edmonton. 2 words. Panic button.
Blow it up.
I'll go, yeah, too. It's the goalies, bro. The goalies, man. They can't stop a beach ball. Are they gonna have to call up Mike Smith? Are they gonna see if he wants to come out of retirement? Like that's like what's going on right now, man.
Get
I
Cam
don't know.
Talbot back.
Yeah,
I have the exact same question for Calgary.
panic button.
Panic
Both
button.
these teams
Yeah.
are not in a good spot right now.
Hey,
Selfishly, I hope it's the Flames who hit that panic button so that like we can poach stuff from them. But
who said that they were gonna be deadline sellers, dude?
hey,
I knew
what
it.
was that, your 50?
I knew, yeah, smoke and mirrors on that team, man. Okay, so sticking on Edmonton for a second, dude. How are you gonna waste prime years of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl like that on us? Like, oh my god. But that's a team that did it to themselves. When you take like the scraps off the Leafs for all these years, basically. I mean, we could laugh. Like, listen, it's a funny joke, but let's be honest here. They were all the guys that they took, except for, I would honestly argue, like, Hyman is fantastic. I love Hyman.
Worth all the money.
When your defense core is made up of Cody Ceci and Tyson Barrie on your right side, Jack Campbell, who has his bouts of playing like a very good goaltender and has his bouts of playing like he's never touched the ice before in his life. Connor Brown is a bit of a different story as well, and he's hurt.
Zero points in 9 games, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah, 100%. But when you kind of coast off of scraps of other teams for all these years, and you kind of get carried by the 2 best players in the league. Unfortunately, when the 2 best players in the league aren't up to their 150% self and they're playing at like 80% instead, this is the type of stuff that happens. And it also doesn't help that both of your goaltenders like don't know how to play goal like in net.
I don't remember who Edmonton played last night, but McDavid's
was it
like
Nashville?
That's what it was. Yeah, McDavid's face after the loss was he was like red hot. Like you could tell he was pissed. Like more so.
To be fair, he always looks like that. Like he's just kind of he has that
stank face.
Yeah, he's got that. But I like where do they go from here? Like I don't know. Like they have no space to like maneuver. Like they're kind of stuck. I don't know what they do. I think they literally just have to ride this out, at least for the year. I don't even know if you want to fire Woodcroft because I don't know who the hell you bring in and how many damn coaches can the Oilers go through in this era. Like it's been McClellan, Tippett, Hitchcock. Now you're gonna go through Woodcroft? No. I think you honestly just ride the damn year out. You gotta pray that this is one of those situations where like adversity builds strength. Like look at I feel like I always make this comparison every year. Like MLB, Texas Rangers. Dave, how bad did they suck for that 1 month between August and beginning of September? Like they were awful.
They were bad, right?
They totally changed the playoff race.
Because they had a big lead and then they lost their big lead. was like 6
and they had to
games or
make it back
something.
up. They didn't even end up actually making it back up. Houston ended up winning the division.
Yeah.
So they lost that, and then they go and win the World Series. And the Phillies the year before stunk going into the playoffs, go to the World Series. They were pretty good
Washington.
again this year. Washington,
The Nats.
Washington was up and down during their run. Like, so many teams have that terrible stinker run, and then that actually builds confidence
more
in
character.
the future. Yeah. So, but it's 100% tougher when that stretches to begin the year, because there's way more pressure on you, way more spotlight on you, because we have no other sample size to look at and be like, oh, but they were good in that month. It's just been all bad to start for Edmonton. Same thing for the Flames. If you had to bet on which one's going to bounce back, you go with the guy with the the team that has the Hart Trophy perennial candidate and the second best player. Yeah, like, you go with that team 10 times out of 10. But yeah, they're stuck.
I just don't know how much longer like Leon and Connor would be willing to take this. Like, in the
I think
sense,
as long as their contracts are, that's their patience.
right.
Basically.
Yeah.
And with Calgary's does it get better for them?
No.
No.
It's just
no. They already talked about all the contract talks are on pause. So it's not getting better. It's probably a sell-off.
Probably going to get worse.
But it is in this situation, it's honestly for the better that they do this, to be honest. Like, I think the writing's on the wall now. This kind of reminds me of Vancouver last year, where I was like, I like all the individual players on the team. I don't know why it doesn't work. It's the same thing with the Flames. So many of the guys on the Flames are good players. For whatever reason, the mix doesn't work. You gotta pivot. At the same time, look at Vancouver this year. It's a bunch of the same players, but they need the new coach. They have the new coach.
It doesn't help
they already burnt that card.
That you trade, what I thought was a franchise piece of granted, it's not all on the Flames. And I'm sorry to have to keep bringing it up, but Jonathan Huberdeau is a third of the player of what Matthew Tkachuk is.
Or could be going forward for the next 10, 15 years.
It's like
Tkachuk's only going up and Huberdeau's only going down.
Yeah, and that's for another 7 years, I think, on top of this. Yeah. So, yikes. They definitely have some pieces there. Like, dude, if Nazem Kadri was available to the Leafs right now,
half the league would be
do it yesterday.
Yeah. Tanev, Zadorov, Hanifin, Lindholm. Give me all of them.
Yeah.
Let's go to Manitoba. Context is Nino Niederreiter's agent is in Winnipeg this week.
I could go on for this. Yeah, I could go on for this for a long time. I sang that guy's praises last year as someone that the Leafs should have been after. I think he went for really, really cheap as well. I think it was. Yeah, it was
a second
ridiculous. It might have been like 2/3 or something like that. It was, or I don't know. You looked it up, Brian. It's a second, yeah.
It was a second, yeah.
Wow,
this is ridiculous. This is a guy who is a seamless fit on basically. He's a plug and play on any team. That's what's great about him. He fits any team, any play style. He just does it all. He can penalty kill. You can play on your power play, net front, power forward, skill.
The ultimate 5-tool player, man. That's what he is.
Exactly. Every team loves those guys. He seems like the type of guy that would fit in Winnipeg, because he's from Switzerland, so it's not like the American concerns that we always have on Winnipeg. Like, he wants to stay there long term. That's a win through and through for Winnipeg if they can get him signed long term. I think it's 30 or 31, like a 3 or 4 year term deal at like $3 to $4 million. Perfect. He's ideally on a championship team, probably on your third line. Totally in a pinch can be in your top 6 though. One of my favorite players. Yeah.
Do you know what he makes right now?
I think he makes $4 million flat. Yeah.
And I think
that's
it was
a 2-year deal. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that going forward, if Winnipeg can get him locked up, sell him on the fact that Scheifele's here long term, Hellebuck's here long term, Follows here now. They have a lot going for them. And
Kyle Connor, Nick Ehlers, good pieces there.
Right.
There's some good pieces there.
Even the defenseman.
Hellebuck.
Morrissey, right.
Morrissey.
And if the agent's going to be in the city anyway.
How convenient. Yeah. Just, we're just going to the tourist capital of Canada, Winnipeg. Yeah.
No, there has to be some correlation with Nino Niederreiter scoring a hat trick and, this. But, okay.
Probably.
Moving forward, Ottawa, we're on Ontario now. My question is, do they trade Shabbat, is this the guy out? Is this the piece that they need to flip to get the most assets back to get some to propel their team going forward?
Out of the three horsemen,
The
like
four.
that they have on the back end. Okay, four if you want to include like what Zub? Are you including Zub in there?
Backstrom.
I think Brancham, honestly, at this point, he might be a lost cause. And for
Yeah,
I
I
love
don't think
Brancham.
I
Like
think
I
there's
wanted the
negative
Leafs to
value
draft
there.
him. Yeah, yeah. So I would put Zub in there. My boy Artem Zub. He's actually got a long-term deal there. He's actually good. Yeah, he's like an ideal number 4. He's like their TJ Brody. Yeah, I mean he's probably the swing piece because he's got injury concerns and what I think he's the oldest of the 3.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. I don't know what would you like, where did the Senators have to shore up that they need to trade him though? Because honestly, I kind of get the feeling that they don't need to trade him. It's kind of a strength.
I think I have a quick fix for the Senators, and you want to hear what that quick fix is? Getting rid of DJ Smith.
Yeah.
That should have been done. As soon as Michael Andlauer came in, that should have been the first order of business. Is getting their lineup set. And getting rid of DJ Smith. I think, he's probably a nice guy. He seemed nice enough. He was always regarded as the good cop to Mike Babcock's bad cop.
Yeah.
Babcock. Yeah.
Mike Bad Cop.
Mike Bad Cop. Yeah. But I think his message has been so, distilled, and it's been so, mudded up that I don't think the message is there anymore. And I think for the sake of everybody on that team, just literally get somebody who's like a motivational speaker. Yeah, get a motivational speaker.
That's how we feel about. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about
later, the Leafs. Yeah, but
get
somebody else. The message needs to change. I don't even think you need to remove from this team. Like I think the team is good enough to start competing. I think they're just underperforming, and I think it starts behind the bench.
We'll jump ship to the last Canadian team, the Habs. I know you guys want to talk about this. My question is, do you send down Slafkovsky, and are you getting Yakupov vibes yet?
Yes, and yes.
I'm not at the Yakupov point yet because I think Yakupov, his concerns were off ice, work ethic, like stuff like that. I don't think that's where we're at with Slafkovsky. I don't think we've had any talk about that. He scored last game. I know that. He scored, got off the schneid. I would send him down though. 100% I would send him down. I think you have to have no ego about this and send him down. Like if you're Slav, no ego, and if you're Montreal management, no ego. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like you have like veteran forwards who can step in. Like it's not like he plays a crucial role on the team right now where it's like, oh, who are we gonna have replace him in his spot in the lineup? Send him down, build some confidence, bring him back up in like a month or two. I don't see why this is a big deal, and I don't know why this hasn't happened already.
I'm just gonna bring up a quick point quickly. So the defense, like the players from that draft that got a chance to get called up, being Shane Wright and got NHL time, and Shane Wright and Slafkovsky have not done well. The players from this draft that had time in college or elsewhere have done well. Like I'm always gonna bring up Cooley, Juracek, and there's one more guy I had on my list, but I just can't find him now. But regardless, the idea stands that the COVID year really did a dent to these guys, and maybe they just need to make it up now. So
look at Byfield, right? Like he was the guy affected by COVID. He's popping off right now. He's got 9 points in his last 6 games or something. Like he's playing very, very well.
Well, and
it's not like he's a bust. Like it could just be delayed development.
Yeah, he was, and Byfield especially was somebody who we all expected to break out 2 years ago, and then last year maybe for Slafkovsky it's next year or the year after. Unfortunately, like maybe that adds an extra year to the Habs plans, but I think to get that guy especially firing on all cylinders has to be your number one priority right now.
I don't think, from what I've seen, I haven't watched a lot of Montreal this year, but based on what I've seen, he doesn't look like he's gotten better, for a lack of better terms.
His thing apparently has been like he's a big body, power forward type, and he's a sniper. And those are all things that lend themselves well to like the European ice surface, like a big rink, time and space with the puck to snipe. and playing a slower paced game because he's a bigger guy. Like he's a large fella. Same thing like for like Capo Caco, right? You could say all the same points there. And it just takes time to adjust to this smaller ice, the faster game. And what better place to do that than in a development league, the AHL?
Yes. And we'll end it with that. We'll go on a quick break. Okay, we are back from our break. Obviously I skipped over a team. We went coast to coast. The reason I skipped over this team is because I know these guys want to talk about it for a lot more than just 3 to 5 minutes. Let's get into the strongest Leafs week.
Yeah, we could probably do about. We'd probably do like 30 to 35.
I would say like 30 to 35 eternities. I would say not minutes, not hours,
not
eternities.
minutes. We could do it.
Did you have a question for us, Brian, or no? We're just gonna.
I didn't. I have nothing
okay.
for Leafs.
You're just like run wild.
Yeah,
I do that every episode.
Go.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I feel like me and Dave usually like there's
we
like
bring
the
up our
structure to the Leafs thing.
We bring up and answer our own questions. That's the thing.
I
think since Dave's been gone, the Leafs haven't won a game. So obviously Dave is now a Vegas fan, and he's took all of his mojo to Vegas because they lost to
whatever
Nashville
mojo
on the
I had.
Saturday. Yeah, well, but we're now in the negative mojo rankings. Okay.
So the last time that they won, I was on a plane to Vegas. True story. That was Thursday against
Dallas, and that was I'd say their best game of the season. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think I watched highlights. Game. I watched highlights and I was like, "Oh, yeah, good win." Nice win. No, I like it.
It was a good dub. Then they lost to Nashville. That one was that was actually maybe similar to the Buffalo game. They then lost to who'd lose to between Nashville and Boston. We played I feel like we played someone else between LA. We got trampled. Trampled. That was the worst game of the season. Yeah. So from best game, worst game, lose to Boston, all of the controversy we'll get to, and then they lose to Buffalo last night. So it's been lots of losing. It actually doesn't feel like that long of a losing streak to me. Like I think all of the talk isn't about the Leafs losing. It's about all the stuff that happened in between the games, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just the process. It's stuff like that. I think
if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Even if you lost 5 or 6 in a row, you're still not San Jose. So it doesn't
matter. Yeah, like I'm not I have one of the things I wrote in my notes is this deja vu to October of last year? And I'm not there, Dave. I'm not there. I can't get that riled up like we did last year.
No, that was but there was good reason for that. Because
exactly.
For the first time in about 7 years, I was like, oh God, we fucking suck again.
I would say it was the first time since like Babs, because the Babs firing year.
Okay, that's right.
What's going on here? The first time in Keefe's era.
I blocked that whole like era of like Leafs hockey out of my brain. So yeah, you are right there. It's not great. It's not awful. It is.
It's that to me. It's status quo.
That's what it is. Status quo. And that's the thing. Like, why is everybody getting so riled up if this is this is the same movie we watched the past like 7 years?
Yeah.
Right.
We get it and we don't get it. Right. Like I understand. We understand why people are getting mad up in arms, but I mentioned to Brian that we like the Leafs fan base and just the media and the team, they go in a circle too. We talked about the circle with the Sens, and like every team goes through like a cycle, and this cycle is specific to the Leafs getting called out for being soft. It's a biannual occurrence, and we're at the Are the Leafs Soft convention here. It's a wonderful time of the year, and we got to ask ourselves: Are the Leafs soft? Is there enough pushback?
The biannual Leafs Are the Leafs Soft convention happens 2 times a year. It's normally the beginning of November and the end of April,
and specifically after losing a series, a playoff series. Yeah. So it's that time of the year. And we got to ask ourselves, this is in relation to an event that occurred during the Bruins game. We'll just go into it. Timothy Liljegren is retrieving a puck in his own corner. He's got Brad Marchand barreling down on him. He falls hard into the boards, and in the replay, we see that Brad Marchand had his stick in between his legs. It's a tripping call. Doesn't get called. Wes McCauley is the official closest to the play.
Of course.
Wes McCauley, everyone can talk about Wes McCauley. Here in Leafs Nation, we're not too happy with him for like playoff reasons and our record with him in those games. It's not a good mix. And Brad Marchand is Brad Marchand. He's not a good mix with anything. He's not a good mix with water. Water rejects him. He tries to chug water and it actually comes out of his mouth. His body's made of oil. It's just, yeah. So how many times have we done this? How many times have we done the Brad Marchand does something to the Leafs and there's no response? Or Brad Marchand does this. Why don't the Leafs do that? Why aren't they the aggressor?
Not even just Brad Marchand. It's the Boston Bruins punk
the Boston Bruins do. Yeah. They punked the Leafs and the Leafs didn't do anything.
How about this one? How about this one, Christian? How many times have we heard insert NHL team here has punked the Leafs again? Leafs have no response. How many times have we done that? I think there's been once. It's like with every single team, it's happened at least once over the past 7 years. I could like recount memories from every single team who have punked the Leafs and have just gotten away with it. And we could talk about, the sandpaper and the snot and the grime and the vinegar and the piss and there's more adjectives to describe how they want the Leafs to play than there are people playing that type of style. Like, it's ridiculous how I know poor Ryan Reeves. I say poor Ryan Reeves. I do feel bad for him at times because this guy's getting thrown into conversations like left and right, and I don't even think it's like all on him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the onus is a bit on him, but I don't know. It's the same story that we had before, like when Kyle Clifford was around and when Wayne Simmons was around.
Matt Martin. It's a long time ago, but honestly, there wasn't much of a problem with him. He was probably the best grit grinder we've had, like the enforcer specific guy.
Yeah.
But I'd say
he's also the one that you like. He's also the one farthest gone from now.
Yeah. We also paid him the most. He was probably like had the best reputation. He was actually in his prime. Like, there's a bunch of different reasons there, but of the specific grit grinder enforcer types, Ryan Reeves to me has been the worst. And we can talk about who's to blame for that. Ryan Reeves, Sheldon Keefe, Brad Treliving. I think you can throw blame on all three of those guys there. Specific to Ryan Reeves, this is now the second time where we get quotes about a prior incident. Actually, I'll say this. This is the third time. At the pre-season interviews, we had all the talk about what would you have done if you were there in the Florida Panthers series where Radko Gudas screams in Joe Wall's face. If I was there, that wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened.
Oh, why I ought it, right? He did that.
This guy's coming in like Walker, Texas Ranger. This guy's gonna come in and shoot up the place like that.
He's
basically.
Like Popeye. He's like,
you know why I oughta.
Right, so he does that.
Gonna crush his can of spinach and put it into his mouth, and it's just the passion that's coming in. That's what it is.
Blue spinach, yeah. So he does that. Then we play Chicago, and there's the Corey Perry talk. And why you oughta Corey Perry?
If I was on the ice, Corey. If I was only on the ice.
If only I didn't suck as a hockey player, why I ought it. So he does that. And then yesterday, we get the same quotes about, if I was on the ice with Brad Marchand, why I This is the third time, right? First time, what is the saying? There's so many sayings, right? Third time, I don't know. I'm not even going to do the sayings. Like, it's just ridiculous at this point. It's just tired, and it's just, you can see through every quote. Not only from Reeves, but I've started to feel that way about Keefe, where you just see through all of his quotes that he doesn't really, there's no oomph to any of them. There's no real meaning to any of them. It's just all BS, to be honest. So that's what I got to say about Reeves in terms of his fault here. He's not playing as we expect him to. He's not doing the Reeves things outside of the first two games, which were his best two games, even as a hockey player, like doing the hockey things. He's 37 or 38 years old. And I guess the wheels fell off after 2 NHL games this season. And then this is when I don't know how much to blame him, because why are we employing him? Why are we paying him? That's a Brad thing, right? That's him putting priority on him getting signed at a decently big ticket for his role, $1.35 million. That's a little bit more than the variable amount.
For 3 years.
Are we really going to waive a guy in the first year of his 3-year deal where he's making that money? I don't know, but to me, I think the answer should be yes. And then with Keefe, I don't know if Keefe really empowers Reeves to do the things that he wants to do, especially when Reeves is saying quotes like, if I was on the ice, I didn't get to be on the ice with him. That's almost like the Evander Kane quotes we had earlier where he said, well, I didn't play much, so I thought I should just fight and sit in the box for 8 minutes. Remember that quote from Kane early in the season? That's kind of what it's not the same sass, but it's a little bit like that. It did remind me of it. So there's this disconnect between Reeves and what he should be doing, Keefe and what he wants of Reeves, and Brad and what the fans expected of him. Like, it's just total disconnection there to me.
I think there's another misconnection that we have as well. I think that there's a disconnection between Sheldon Keefe and Brad Treliving. Brad Treliving's come in with his philosophy of, wanting to bring piss and vinegar to this lineup. In the past 3 years, when Sheldon Keefe was, coaching under Kyle Dubas, that was never a priority. Sheldon Keefe was hired based on what how he knows how to play. He's never really had those types of, he's never had that philosophy to go out and, be that team to be like the sandpaper. I think that there's a disconnect with how Sheldon wants to coach his team and with how Brad wants this team to play as well. And
isn't it puzzling that we have the disconnect? Because they what was the whole Brad thing? It was like, me and Keefe spoke for like 12 hours one day, and we decided that we're gonna keep him because he's a really good coach.
Congrats. Salute.
Throw that conversation in the trash.
Put it, stick it up where the sun don't shine. I don't care.
I still think like Keefe is a good coach, but he's not, like you said, there's the disconnect. So it doesn't matter how good a coach is if there's a disconnect between the roster and what he's doing with it. That's a problem. That's a problem. I don't specific to the softness and the lack of response from Liljegren. We also heard, I'm going to bring up this point here now. Then the McAvoy incident that we brought up, the suspension where he got suspended 4 games for a headshot on OEL. This is against the Florida Panthers, aka the team that eliminated the Boston Bruins in the first round before facing the Leafs. They were playing last week, and there was no response from the Florida Panthers. Okay, McAvoy headshot their number 1 defenseman right now, they headshot him. I looked through the box score. I watched the replay. There was no immediate response or anything. There was no penalties called after that one. So why does no one give a shit about that? Why don't we care? Why aren't we calling the Florida Panthers soft? I just think there's a little bit of a double standard.
I will tell you why, Christian.
Yeah.
Because the Florida Panthers made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. They have a resume of success.
So I think that we choose sometimes to when it's important to have pushback and when it's not. There's we're too picky and choosy with it. And my standpoint isn't that pushback is bad and that it's a sign of a bad team. But it's just I think just in the NHL in general, teams don't have as much of it, and so we place too much emphasis on it from the Leafs sometimes. I do want them to have pushback. I do want them to emulate more the Bruins than, let's say, the Panthers. But I just do think sometimes there's a double standard. We heard yesterday that there was team meetings based off of the lack of pushback in the Liljegren incident. Players, coaches, and GM Brad Treliving was present there. Okay. That's a huge deal. Like, how many teams do that because of an incident where a player gets injured and there's no response? Like, I don't think this is common. I don't think the San Jose Sharks should be doing this. Now, maybe that's a bad example because we don't want to be the Sharks, but I'm just trying to give like a reference here. It's just a bigger deal here. It's a bigger deal here.
You always go back to philosophies. Whatever happened that day was completely against the philosophy of what Treliving tried to bring in. And that was probably enough of a reason to warrant a meeting.
I do think that sometimes too, though, the Leafs do have pushback. Like how many times have we seen Giordano have an RKO out of nowhere? Don't we love to see that? He's done that like 2 or 3 times.
And the Leafs
it's picky and choosy.
Yeah, the Leafs are at their best when they have that fire in them.
Yeah, yes.
I don't know if it's the cause of like, it's an 82 game season and
Yeah.
you're never going to get up for everything. But I would expect, it's the Boston. It's not like we're playing the San Jose Sharks here, unfortunately, right? Like, it's the Boston Bruins. No doubt, like, they are the Leafs' biggest rivals, and we are to Boston like their little brother. We get punked by Boston every time. So to have a little bit of pushback against the Boston Bruins is, would be warranted. And let's not be remiss the fact that this franchise has been built on, blue collar, snub-nosed types of guys like Darcy Tucker, Ty Domi. It's guys like that this fan base grew up on. Guys like Doug Gilmour, who had, they would
Wendell
score
Clark.
130 points in a year, but they would beat the shit out of you if they had to,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's those types of guys that this fan base has grown accustomed to. Matt Sundin's another one, very underrated. Growing up watching him, that guy would...
He's a mountain of a man.
Yeah, he would beat the shit out of you.
Borje Salming,
Salming,
a guy who just ate pucks for
breakfast.
Warrior
players. And as much as, Austin Matthews scoring a hat trick last night against the Buffalo Sabres is fantastic. I think there's always going to be a part of this franchise where it's like, he could score 60 goals, but Austin Matthews doesn't go into the corners and, give somebody a little cross check in the corners when he has to. You know what I mean? Yeah. It always feels like whatever this team does, they'll never be, those working, like, those tough blue collar snub-nosed types of guys. Unfortunately, it's never going to be like that with the guys that we have that we're fielding on this team. It's gone far past. Like, maybe we could have fixed that in the first year with Babs and stuff, but I don't even think those guys, their personalities don't even lend into that type of style, unfortunately, right?
So here's another thing though. Here's again the question of disconnect, or is it the personnel or is it the philosophy? Would you have guessed that Pastrnak, when he was a rookie, is like a Bruin? He's not a prototypical Bruin. He's grown into one. Grown into one. So if we swapped Pastrnak and William Nylander, if William Nylander grows in the culture of the Bruins and Pastrnak grows in the culture of the Toronto Maple Leafs, we're talking about two different players, right?
I still think personality affects that though. I've never gotten that, like Pasternak's always kind of had the fire in him, and it just in that scenario, in that situation, the Boston Bruins are able to ignite that fire to maybe like 3 times the size that it would be if he was playing in Toronto. If William Nylander's in Boston, I don't know if that type of fire, there's probably going to be a fire there 100%, but I don't know if it's going to be, as much. Like, I think it's a product of situation and also personality.
There's an inherent, like, this is the player no matter where they are, and then there's another portion of this is the player in different environments. Yes, 100%. To me, like a player like Austin Matthews, though, for example, if he's in a Bruins jersey, like, I think we're talking about him like Bergeron.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably.
Yeah. So that's an example there.
The 6'5" Bergeron.
Yeah, Mitch Marner, we're talking about him as Brad Marchand without the greasiness, just in terms of penalty killer, 200-foot forward, shorthanded goals, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's a culture thing. And I think that the Leafs over the 7-year era have brought in the toughness guys, the snot guys through the different iterations. Wayne Simmons, Jake Muzzin, Luke Shen, Ilya Lyubushkin. Just go down the list. So many guys that you consider tough guys. And they're tough in moments, but the result is still the same. It's a first-round exit, and then last year the second-round exit where we felt that we got bullied by the Panthers. So at a certain point, it's not an individual personnel thing. To me, it's a mindset thing. It's a philosophy thing. It's a coaching thing.
I think it goes
I
think it goes even higher up.
It can.
I sincerely believe it starts with, president. You know, I'm.
But do
I'm
you
gonna.
really believe, Dave, that like Shanny is like against this type of philosophy? I don't know if
But
he's the
see,
type to
that's the thing.
preach.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
know because
yeah,
if you watch any highlights of Brendan Shanahan when he was playing,
yes,
his philosophy goes completely against how the Leafs currently play. But
yeah,
everything that I've seen so far, with some of even some of the decisions that they make behind the scenes and stuff like that, it goes against that philosophy of what Brendan Shanahan brought as a player. So I don't know, but I still believe fundamentally it starts even up there. It's got to come down from up there. Like if that's
yeah.
the boss of all bosses right there.
I still think that we're early enough in Tree Living's tenure where we can still see that come to shape because we still have remnants of the Dubas era with Keefe.
Yeah.
Keefe has been a guy who's been attached to Dubas's hip going back to junior.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to untie that connection. We get that, like, this was Keefe's opportunity to show us that he is an individual thinker and his concepts aren't just all from Dubas. But we've basically seen the same team that we've been seeing in the Dubas era under Keefe, right?
Yeah,
I
probably
think
to a
we've seen
lesser
it.
extent.
Yeah. Yeah. So we haven't seen, we've seen a roster constructed by someone other than Dubas. And even then, like I said, it's early. We've only seen 3-4 pieces brought in, but it's still the Dubas coaching and the Dubas systems. And there's no good mixture there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we can talk about the new guys, how Bertuzzi, Domi, Klingberg, and Reeves. I think we're honestly right now,
have all not fit.
yeah, we're all at like negative impressions for all four of them.
I would
through
say
11 games. Klingberg's
at best,
the one I have the most faith in right now. That's crazy.
well, that's crazy because Klingberg had a god awful game yesterday too.
But I feel like I know what he
Yeah.
is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I
Yeah.
just feel like we know what he is. I think
Yeah.
Bertuzzi, we still don't know what he is. Bertuzzi's got the highest ceiling.
Yeah.
I just do still think he comes around. Domi to me is still an enigma, and Reeves, I've lost total faith.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I'm at there.
I think at best, all four of those signings are a net equal. And I think that's at best right now. And you can't
worst case scenario is like I think the worst case scenario we've had for signings brought in that have performed terribly, because there isn't that many, honestly. It's Nick Ritchie. That's the one that went so bad that we had to ship him out in 2 months.
And it's crazy that we signed 4 of them.
Yeah. But how many of them do you think stay at this level? I don't know. I honestly still think there's chances for all of them to come out looking okay.
100%.
But even then, we keep talking about this team is supposed to be different than past years, and still right now the ceiling feels like status quo. Like the Bruins already feel out of reach. Like I'm already concerned that we can't reach them for the division lead. Right.
I think you
so
might be right.
that feels already out of the question. So where does that leave us? In the exact same spot we've been in for this entire era, second or third in the division. Yeah. Right. So like I said, it just feels like status quo. Just doesn't feel like anything's changed. We're looking for improvement. The ceiling just feels like we're going to be the same. I just want to really quickly highlight Noah Gregor. I don't know if Dave caught wind of me talking about this with Brian, but Noah Gregor right now has like been pretty damn good. I don't know, Dave. Do you have any thoughts on what you've seen from him before I go into like stats?
So I will say one thing about him. It's gonna come off as like harsh, but I think it's a fair assessment of what he is. He is the epitome of all feet, no finish.
No hands.
Basically, yeah. He reminds me of Ilya Mikheyev. You know, he reminds me of Ilya Mikheyev in his first year with the team.
Yeah.
Just before Mikheyev suffered his injury. I know Gregor only has, I think it's like one, I think he only has the one goal.
He only has the one goal. He only has the one goal.
That's it. So Mikheyev's offensive ceiling was definitely higher. But I'm
never expecting that from Gregor.
Like another player who kind of springs to mind as well is like Kasperi Kapanen, but I still think Kasperi Kapanen had better finish than Noah Gregor.
Let me preface that I don't think Noah Gregor is gonna like revolutionize the
He's not gonna
be
first line left winger. No.
I just want to appreciate that I think he's been a really good fourth liner. Like a really good fourth liner. Like a guy that can be on a fourth line that wins a championship. Yeah. Even then, I don't even know if like I just think he's the type of guy where you could go put him on Colorado and he's on a fourth line and he wins a championship. I think you could put him on the Vegas Golden Knights, and he fits seamlessly on their fourth line. And I just want to appreciate that because I think that whenever the hell Reeves is eventually healthy scratched or waived, because that's going to happen come playoff time. It's going to happen. He can be on a fourth line that is a really, really good like shutdown line with Kampf in the middle. And you got to figure out who that number 4 right wing is. Like maybe it's Bobby McMahon.
Maybe it doesn't have to be. Maybe they just go 11-7.
I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that at all. They did it in the playoffs last year.
They did.
Not opposed to that. So I want to give him kudos. So the stats that I was talking about, honestly, I do have them here still. So in this metric is going to be shots on goal per 16. Noah McGregor is 3rd in the entire league in shots on goal per 60, Dave. Does that surprise you? Does that
it doesn't
mean anything?
Because I've seen that guy once a game get in behind the defense and go on like a clean break, and
he's got wheels.
Yeah, he has wheels, and he'll just put a muffin right to the chest.
It's either a muffin or it wheels. It goes right by the guy's
goes
head.
Right by.
Goes right
yeah,
by his head.
Whizzes, yeah.
But to me, out of a fourth liner, any type of offense at all, like even a chance like that,
especially on this team right now, on this team,
deficient
needs anything that they can. Sure.
In just shots, this is just straight up on shots. I want to pull up his stats just in relation to the Leafs team. He's 4th in shots right now. The only 3 players ahead of him in just straight up shots is Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares. He has more shots than Marner. He has more shots than Bertuzzi with 27. Dude, he plays 10 minutes a night. Like he shoots the puck. He gets chances. Yeah. He was really good against the Bruins. And I just think compared to the past fourth lines, like who have been the best fourth liners for the Leafs in this era? To me, it's been Jason Spezza is the number 1 center, probably, and David Kampf is right behind. They're 2 different guys, but to me, it's Spezza, Kampf. Other than that, like maybe like a little bit of like Trevor Moore, but he was only here for like a hot minute. Malgin was not good.
Malgin was awful. I'm trying to think like Par Lindholm
sucked. No, nothing happened on the ice. Freddie to go, we didn't like him.
Awful. I hated Freddie to go.
So it's not Tyler Ennis was a good one.
Yeah, I like Tyler Ennis. Yeah.
He's in that tier. That's what I'm saying about Noah McGregor. I think I liked Zach Aston Reese last year. I think he can be better than Zach Aston Reese as a fourth liner last year.
He's could be in the tier high. I think right now he's in the same tier as Aston Reese, but I think he has the ability to jump that, basically.
I just think he's at a really hot stretch here to start the year. We'll see if this sustains. It could just be a 11-game stretch and he just turns into a regular fourth liner. But I do feel like there's something there. He also penalty kills. He's doing a lot for us, honestly. Just in terms of expectations and what we've seen so far, in the bottom 6, he's probably exceeded them the most, right?
Getting a lot.
Nyes has been a little bit underwhelming. Yarncrock's been Yarncrock. Domi, if you want to consider him in the bottom 6, hasn't been the greatest. Reeves has sucked. Kampf has been underwhelming. Holmberg, I think, has still been underwhelming. He takes way too many penalties, that guy, man. He takes random penalties. So to me, Gregor's been he's exceeded expectations in the bottom 6. Yeah.
I also wanted to shout out your top 6. They are scoring literally generational amounts, like numbers right now. I think this is the first time that we've ever seen all 4 of them firing on all cylinders. Firing on all cylinders is a bit of a stretch, but because I don't know, I think Marner has been.
Yeah, Marner hasn't been playing peak. Yeah, he had a 4-point game last night, so he's got 13 points now. So he rocketed himself up, but he also had a terrible giveaway last night on the power play that led to the Thompson goal. So he hasn't been the greatest version of Marner yet.
You know what? You can bill him out for the giveaway because I saw the 2 shots before on the power play that Thompson had that both of them probably should have went in. So you can bill him out for that one. So they were going to.
It wasn't a good game last night. Yeah. Real quickly, like with the injuries on the blue line. So McCabe has been out for a little bit. Liljegren is now out long term with a high ankle sprain. Timmins is still not back. I'm going to be honest, and I actually don't think it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter that much. Like I think the blue line has been mediocre no matter what, and I don't think putting in Lagesson. I've honestly liked Lagesson.
I think Lagesson and Lajoie actually played pretty good games yesterday.
I didn't notice Lajoie as much, other than at one time he had a shot opportunity.
You know why
Sorry?
you didn't notice him? Because he played
Yeah.
6.5 minutes last night.
That sounds about right. I bet Lagesson played like 13. I actually think they gave him a decent amount of ice time.
I think they did, yeah.
He's actually impressed me. He laid a hit in the second period too, a pretty big hit. It might have been
On Thompson, no?
Yeah, I think it was on Thompson, and he knocked him down. Maybe it was Tuck, but either guy is 6'6", right? Like you're knocking down a skyscraper there. He's been impressive to me. Deserves like a little bit of runway. I'm not that worried about it because I think the D is mediocre no matter what. They need an upgrade there.
Yeah,
so
I think
they're gonna have to figure that out.
I think by the end of November, Brad seriously needs to consider finding a new 3C and defender. If you could bring in multiple, that would be fucking phenomenal. But
I think 3C is going to wait until the deadline. I think any forward edition is going to wait until the deadline.
Yeah, that's going to be so tough. Because
any forward edition we get is going to be internal. It's going to be Reeves getting healthy scratch and McMahon coming in, or Robertson in the top 9.
Man, because that third line I love David Kampf, but he cannot play on that third line, dude.
He's best as a fourth liner.
Yeah.
He's best as a fourth line. And if he's playing on your third line, it has to be a dedicated shutdown line, not a mix match of Domi, Nyes, and Camp. It's just like every player does a different thing there. It doesn't work together.
What about Holmberg making a 3C? But even he's not
too
even locked.
Keefe doesn't trust him, and I don't trust him to not take stupid penalties. That's the biggest thing that even last year, if you go look at his penalty minutes, it's surprising. Yeah, I think he actually had 2 double minors last year. He's got to be more disciplined than that. Maybe that's a young player thing, but he hasn't. I think
he's 26.
Yeah, then damn it, we're running out of time here. But I don't know. He's got it, and Keith even said he had an underwhelming camp. I like Holmberg. I liked him a lot last year, but I do think he's been a little underwhelming so far. Yeah. Goaltending? Sammy's been good, I think, honestly, right?
And I
think people are overreacting on that.
I want to say I feel bad for Wall last night. He had a tough game. And I don't even think I don't think any of them were really.
It would be nice if we could hold the lead for more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
It'd be nice if we had 2 back-to-back shifts where we gave a crap.
Yeah. No, I know the Sammy stuff. I think maybe we saw Sammy at his worst, and hopefully that was the end of that for the foreseeable future.
You'll get bad Samsonov again, but you'll also get Vezina Samsonov.
Are we forgetting that this is the guy? I said this last week while Dave was gone. This is the guy who won us a series for the first time in 2 decades. This is the guy, and we're already losing faith in him after 5 games.
But
give
that's
the guy
just
some runway. But I'm sorry, we gotta have a little bit more respect than that. Even big Leafs media has been throwing Sammy down the toilet.
Yeah.
Just because Joe Wall is the new shiny young kid. I love Joseph Wall. I think they can both be good. Why can't we have both?
I know.
It doesn't have to be one or the other.
We just gotta let him marinate, dude.
Yeah,
man. You ever have
food?
You ever have food that is undercooked? It's bad. It's bad. Let him marinate a little bit. Let them cook.
Let Sammy cook.
Let Sammy cook. Let Joe cook as well.
Yes, he's been good.
We don't gotta run to one or the other. We can love both of them equally.
Exactly.
But apparently
exactly.
In a perfect world, you're looking at Wool like a soy man, and you're looking at Samsonov like a Ullmark. Right? It's possible.
That sounds great. Why aren't the Bruins saying Ullmark he should fight Swayman to the death for the net? No, they hug each other like bears after the game.
Fortunately or unfortunately, the way that the NHL has been moving, they've been moving away from. Granted, Vasilevsky is a back-to-back cup winner, but he's also
only the best
right
of the
now.
best can do
it. We moved away from guys like Martin Brodeur, who was playing 75 games a year.
Carey Price,
Jonathan Quick was playing if you told me Jonathan Quick played a whole 82 game season and they ran with no backup, I'd believe you, because every time you would watch an LA game in the mid 2000s, mid 2010s, that guy was in net.
You cannot name the Kings backup during that time.
No, I would.
I
wouldn't be able to.
Who was the Devils backup with
Guy
Water?
guy that won 3 cups,
Alex
basically, right?
Old. Was it Old?
Who's the Brian?
Yeah,
I don't.
But
I
to my
do think that,
who's the Kings guy? Who's the Kings guy?
Jonathan Bernier.
Budai? Oh,
Peter
okay.
Budai.
Well, yeah, but we had Bernier in 20. Yeah, we had him after that. So that means that like
2012.
I think he won the
just-
2012 cup.
yeah.
okay,
So
Then it would be,
Yeah,
then it would have been
I have no
Peter
idea
Budai.
Yeah, I don't know.
Budai.
Or
Yeah.
maybe it was Jones, Martin Jones.
Martin Jones was there
Ah,
too. Yeah,
okay.
could've
We see
been.
like there's multiple guys. Like there's just never. It's never just like a solid backup and starter.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
And speaking of Martin Jones, you know who else is cooking in the Marlies? Martin Jones. Let that guy regain
Yeah.
his confidence as well before
Yeah.
we start
For
fucking
perfect number
throwing-
3.
Like we went 30 years without having a goaltender, and now we want to throw the first one we get right out
The
the
guy
door.
who won his series, man.
like
Like
I don't get it.
we tore Freddie down. We built Freddie up, tore him down. We
Tore him
built
down.
Jack up, tore him down. Built Samsonov up. He did something. He actually did something after we built him up. Let him stay
Let
there,
him-
man.
let him cook,
Come
dude.
on. He's had 2 good games. Hopefully it continues, man.
I think
That was therapeutic as always, Dave.
Yeah, I think we should wrap this one up. Brian,
I don't know if it was
therapeutic
therapeutic for Brian, but like you just heard a bunch
it's just
of
cathartic
rambling,
listening
but
to us, eh?
yeah.
Yeah, just incoherent rambling.
My franchise is in a worse spot than you guys, so.
Yeah,
Hey, you guys
You
are on
guys have a cup,
on a win
though.
streak, right? Aren't you guys like on a 4-game win streak, man?
Technically, but
Yeah,
Are we
technically. No,
playing,
there's
like-
no technicalities. W's are W's.
but hear me out. Like we're not playing like 20 like
W's are W's.
yeah, we're
Hey,
not
but
playing, like,
you
mid-2000 Capitals.
guys were losing games like in ridiculous fashion
Oh
to start
my
the
God.
year, right? So
You might as well win them in
the
ridiculous
karma
fashion
came
too.
back. Yeah,
Things will work out.
Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to Razor, Fubo TV. You can watch Hockey Night in Canada there. And if you want to get your Nick Backstrom jersey, NHLshop.ca. That's a wrap.